The tree never chases the bird. Yet if its branches were once home, the bird remembers long after it has flown away. She may walk with confidence. She may smile in public. She may post pictures as if nothing lingers. But understand this. What touches the heart leaves an imprint on the soul. You may not see it. Feelings are not stored in the mind the way facts or details are. They live deeper in the body, in the nervous system, in the silence between thoughts. When someone leaves an emotional imprint, it becomes part of the way we remember them, not through logic or explanation, but through sensation. If you ever made her feel seen, safe, inspired, or deeply understood, that feeling does not simply disappear. It lingers, even if she doesn't speak about it. The mind often tries to override the heart. It says things like, move on, or forget him, but the body doesn't forget. The heart holds on to experiences that touched it deeply. Even when someone tells themselves they've let go, certain memories remain alive, triggered by music, a familiar scent, or a quiet moment in the day. This is why she can think of you. Even when she tells herself not to. It's important to understand that feelings don't rely on conversation to survive. She doesn't have to talk about you or reach out for you to still live in her memory. Emotionally charged moments plant seeds. Whether it was a quiet night spent talking, a moment of shared stillness, or a time when she felt completely safe in your presence, those moments don't vanish. They become part of the emotional fabric of her life. She may not show it. She may act indifferent. But if something you shared awakens something real in her, it lives on. Not in photos or text messages, but in the emotion tied to those memories. The deeper the feeling, the longer it echoes, even in silence, even without admission. And when the noise of the world fades, those echoes become clear. She thinks of you not always by choice, but because something within her was touched in, a way that cannot be undone. The human mind has a tendency to revisit what was left unresolved. This is especially true when it comes to emotional connections that didn't have a clear or peaceful ending. When a bond ends with unanswered questions, unspoken truths, or emotions that never found expression, the memory of that experience becomes a loop in the mind. It returns during moments of stillness, not because she chooses to dwell, but because the experience still has weight inside her. It's not always about wanting someone back. Sometimes it's about trying to understand what happened, to make sense of a connection that felt meaningful but ended without full closure. Even if she acts like everything is fine, even if she laughs and moves forward, there are quiet hours late at night, in solitude, during moments of reflection, when her mind returns to you, not necessarily to repeat the past, but to examine what remains unfinished within her. This reflection is not weakness. It's human nature. We are wired to search for meaning in emotionally intense moments. If you shared a connection that held depth, even for a short time, it likely stirred something inside her that still needs clarity. Whether it's a lesson, a memory, or a feeling she hasn't fully let go of, her mind goes back because something within still feels incomplete. And even if she won't admit it out loud, these mental revisits are not accidental. They are driven by emotion that never fully closed the door. That's why you come to her mind unexpectedly, and why she may wrestle with those thoughts in silence. It's not always about rekindling the past. Sometimes it's just the echo of something meaningful that hasn't yet faded. Something she still carries quietly in the background of her life. There's a kind of presence that stays with someone, even when the person is no longer physically near. It's not tied to constant communication or physical touch. It comes from the energy you once carried, the emotional atmosphere you created. When a man shows up fully present, attentive, and grounded, that presence becomes an experience the other person doesn't forget. It creates a memory that lives in the spaces between words, in the feeling of being seen and understood without pressure or noise. You may be gone from her day-to-day life, but if your presence once brought her a sense of calm or connection, she feels the absence. She might not say it. She may not reach out. But there are moments when she sits in silence and notices that something is missing, not a message, not a call, but the feeling of being met at a deeper level. That feeling is rare. It isn't easily replaced because it was never just about what you did. It was about who you were when you were with her. In a world full of distractions and shallow attention, a grounded presence is unforgettable. Most people rush through their interactions. But if you were the man who slowed down, who listened deeply, who carried a quiet strength, then your energy stays with her long after your physical presence fades. It's felt in contrast, especially when others around her lack that same stillness or intention. Even without words, your presence echoes. Not because you demanded to be remembered, but because you became part of a peaceful moment in her life. And those moments are hard to come by. When she misses you, it's not always about missing a person. Often, it's about missing the feeling she had when you were near. That feeling doesn't disappear, it lingers. Silence is often misunderstood. People assume that if someone isn't speaking, they aren't feeling. But silence doesn't always mean absence. It can mean protection. It can mean caution. It can even mean overwhelm. When someone cares deeply but doesn't know how to express it, silence becomes the easiest mask to wear. And just because she doesn't talk about you doesn't mean she's not thinking of you. Many emotions live beneath the surface. Sometimes pride holds her back. Sometimes it's fear of being vulnerable again, fear of rejection, or fear that the past will repeat itself. Instead of reaching out, she stays silent. Instead of confessing her thoughts, she acts as though they're not there. But within that stillness are moments of reflection. Moments when your name floats through her mind, unspoken but present. It's in the quiet hours when these thoughts grow louder. When the world slows down and distractions fade, what remains are the thoughts she's kept hidden throughout the day. She may lie in bed and think of what she'd say if pride didn't stop her. She may reread old conversations, even if she never replies. These are things no one sees, but they happen. Because when something matters, it doesn't just vanish into silence. What she won't say is sometimes louder than what she would. Her silence may be her way of holding on without showing it, or letting go without making it obvious. But the feeling still lives underneath. And if the connection meant anything real, that silence is not empty, it's full of things left unsaid. So don't assume she's forgotten. Just understand that sometimes people feel most deeply when they say nothing at all. Silence, in its own way, speaks. And if you once touched her heart, you're still somewhere in her silence. Growth is one of the most powerful forces of attraction, especially when it happens quietly and consistently. When you begin to evolve not for show, not to prove a point, but for your own peace, you create a shift in your energy. The way you walk changes. The way you speak carries more weight. And even if she's no longer in your life, she feels that shift. Whether she admits it or not, you don't have to announce your growth. Real change doesn't seek attention. It reveals itself naturally through action, discipline, and the choices you make every day. The man who once struggled with doubt now stands with clarity. The one who once reacted now responds with calm. This transformation may go unseen at first, but it echoes through the energy you carry. And people who once knew, you will feel it, even from a distance. When a woman sees that you've grown, not just in success, but in character, it can cause her to reflect. She might wonder who you've become. She might remember the version of you she once knew and compare it to the man she sees now. And even if she never speaks those thoughts, they exist. Because growth is magnetic. It reminds others of what could have been and what may still be possible. But the most powerful part is this: you're no longer growing to be noticed. You're not waiting for her validation. You've outgrown the need for it. You're growing because you found a deeper reason yourself. And that kind of growth changes everything. Even the memories people have of you begin to shift. You don't have to reach out or explain. The new version of you speaks volumes on its own. And she will feel it, even in silence. When a connection is real, it doesn't need to be constantly reminded or repeated. It lives quietly in the background, resurfacing when the heart is still and the noise of daily life fades. You don't need to chase her, prove yourself, or fight to stay in her thoughts. If what you shared held meaning, it planted something deeper than words, something she will revisit in her own time. And in her own way. People often believe they must stay visible to be remembered. But the truth is, the most powerful memories are not kept alive by presence, they are kept alive by impact. When you have touched someone at their core, you become part of their inner world. Even if she never mentions your name again, the echo of your presence remains. It may surface in a quiet moment, in a place that reminds her of you, or when she faces something you once helped her through. Letting someone remember you freely, without pressure or expectation, is an act of strength. It requires peace within yourself. It requires trust in the truth of what once was. By stepping back and focusing on your own journey, you give her the space to feel, reflect, and remember. And if she does, if her thoughts ever wander back to you, it won't be because you demanded it. It will be because something inside her still recognizes what you were to her. This kind of remembrance is genuine. It comes not from need or guilt, but from sincerity. And that is the only memory worth holding on to. So stand tall, remain grounded, and let the silence do its work. If it was real, time will not erase it. It will only reveal it more clearly when the moment is right. You are not forgotten. You are simply remembered in silence. Not every thought is spoken. Not every feeling is confessed. But what is real always returns. So walk with peace.
Grow
in silence. And know this, she may not say it. She may not show it. But somewhere, in the stillness between her thoughts, she remembers you. And that is enough. Stay rooted like the mountain. Let the winds of memory come and go. Because when the soul remembers, it does not need to speak. It simply feels.